In this project, we will be proposing a new way for Ms.B's teas to grow and gain new customers that will hopefully continue to come back for more. For the table of contents, we will first have an introduction, the goal of change, Ms.B's tea's current state, the suggested state and change, why this works, and then a feasibility and conclusion. For the introduction, the identity is Ms.B's Teas is located in Clayton, Indiana, and is a sanctuary for community and connection. They are dedicated to being a third space and defined by 3 core pillars, these being quality, relaxation, and community. For the proposal, this is to place branded tea stands in calm, intellectual spaces like public libraries and independent bookstores. The goal of this is to drive trial and awareness by meeting mindfulness, seeking customers where they already are. The strategy is libraries already share this warm and focused environment. So with this, Ms.B's Teas can be a part of the cozy reading ritual. For students and maybe fantasy readers, this would organically and introduce them to the brand in a context that reinforces Ms.B's Tea's identity. For the goal of the change, the objective is to drive brand awareness and first-time trial by placing branded grab-and-go tea stands in calm, intellectual spaces. For the segmentation, this would be targeting book lovers, students, and avid readers. These are consumers who already associate leisure time with tea. To tie this into consumer behavior, we'll be capitalizing on the existing habit of those seeking out quiet spaces and meeting them where they already are comfortable. For the positioning, we'll be framing Ms.B's Teas as an essential component of cozy reading or a study-focused ritual.
So as it currently stands, Ms.B's Teas operates under a couple of different revenue streams, that being its physical location located in downtown Clayton, Indiana, where they host tea events or events that are focused on tea, such as Ms.B's book club, and there is the opportunity to rent out the space for whatever you may want to rent it out for. Secondly, the second revenue stream is going to be via farmers markets, where Ms.B sells tea bags, and lastly is going to be that online website where customers can purchase their own tea blends, whatever they decide they want. For perspective, Clayton, Indiana is approximately 35 minutes south by southwest of downtown Indianapolis, and given this somewhat secluded location, it is somewhat difficult for prospective customers to justify traveling to the business. So moving on to the suggested state of Ms.B's Teas, our suggestion would be to have a branded kiosk in libraries or bookstores in the surrounding Clayton area, featuring a minimal curated menu with offerings such as Cozy Reads Blend, Focus Green, Caffeine-Free Calm, or other aptly named blends, which would appeal directly to the mood and mindset of book lovers who would be seeking, comfort, concentration, or relaxation. Free samples can also help draw attention to the business and reduce purchase hesitation, while QR codes could allow for seamless online ordering, making it easy for customers to continue the experience beyond this branded kiosk. From a consumer behavior perspective, the approach leverages several psychological factors. The environment itself is a situational influence, triggering those familiar associations between reading and warm beverages, which can help position Ms.B's Teas as a preferable choice over coffee in a calm setting. Priming plays a role as well as a scent of, steeped tea, calming visuals, and, these product names like Cozy Reads Blend subtly cue relaxation and focus, which help to reinforce emotional connections. Over time, consistent exposure to Ms.B's Teas would encourage habit formation, creating a sort of routine where customers, may begin to automatically pair reading with Miss B's teas, and be in support of repeat purchases, which would eventually lead to, more store sales.
For the consumer decision-making process, Ms.B's teas fits really naturally into the way people make choices inside a bookstore or library. First is problem recognition and habitual purchasing. When someone is studying or browsing and suddenly thinks, I want something to drink, the kiosk becomes the easiest and most convenient solution. They don't have to leave the building or look for another cafe. Because the stand is right there, visible and accessible, people start choosing it automatically. Over time, this repeated exposure builds a habit. Anytime they're in a library or bookstore and want a drink, Miss B's becomes the default. Next is situational influences and mood boost. Bookstores and libraries already have a calm, cozy atmosphere. People are relaxed, comfortable, and in a positive mood, which actually makes them more open to trying small indulgences like a new tea. The tea becomes part of a whole sensory experience. The warmth, the aroma, and the flavor all enhance that peaceful environment. As a result, customers start connecting the brand with those good feelings, which increase both immediate purchases and long-term loyalty. And finally, classical conditioning. By placing Miss B's teas in a space that already feels comforting and relaxing, the brand naturally becomes associated with these emotions. The more often customers see, smell, or drink the tea in that environment, the stronger that emotional connection becomes. Eventually, they link Miss B's teas with the same comfort and relaxation they get from reading or studying. This creates an unconscious, positive association that encourages repeat purchases, even outside the bookstore or library. Overall, the bookstore or library setting reinforces every step of the consumer decision-making process, making Miss B's teas the easy, comforting, and familiar choice.
Like mentioned before, consumers inside a bookstore experience immediate situational needs. Many individuals feel the desire for comfort when reading or studying and turn to the idea of wanting a small treat. Ms. B's Teas would offer another alternative decision for consumers who want to feel comfortable in the space of convenience for studying, reading, or spending time with others. For information search, having the mini shop inside the environment would allow customers to not engage in long external searches, but rather internal search, with potentially having previous experiences at Ms. B's, and limited external search by having the opportunity to look at the new display, menu, aroma cues in the bookstore. This would offer low involvement in decision-making, brand familiarity, and heuristics with trial and error of trying a new experience and thinking if it is located in a certain environment, then it must be good. This opportunity for Ms. B's would create a minimum alternative for consumers, as if someone were to want to purchase a drink, they would have to look for other options by putting in high effort into leaving the bookstore to look somewhere else or buying something prior. Choosing the tea option would be more convenient for consumers and would develop a complementary effect to reading and studying. Consumers would rely on convenience orientation, attribute evaluations, and situational dominance. This context would make Ms. B's the most logical option for customers. The decision to pick the selected menu is fast, mostly low involvement, and often impulse-driven. This would be reinforced by being placed in a cozy environment, having the option of immediate consumption, and selling at a lower price. Effective decision-making would be in play, as this would come from an emotional-based comfort choice for book lovers and students who are studying. Like stated previously, the bookstore atmosphere helps increase the emotional appeal of wanting a treat and willing to try something new. Finally, for the post-purchase evaluation, consumers will feel relaxed, satisfied, and enhanced experience the tea brings to the bookstore experience. This could result in reinforcement of habits, of wanting to come back to the environment and continue to support Ms. B's teas. This can also bring repeat purchase intention and ultimately lead to brand loyalty. Having the comforted experience in the bookstore with the selected menu and being made aware of different events and opportunities at the original tea room can lead to more success for the business.
For feasibility, our idea actually works really well because it's inexpensive, simple to run, and has a high return in terms of exposure. First, the startup cost is very low. We're not talking about opening a full cafe. This would just be a small kiosk or pop-up counter inside of a library or bookstore. It only needs basic equipment, simple signage, and possibly a small display. Because the menu is limited to a few blends and seasonal options, inventory stays low, which helps prevent waste and keeps costs down. Operations are also very manageable. With such a simple setup, one part-time worker or even rotating volunteers, depending on the partnership, could run it. The limited menu also means less training and smoother day-to-day operations. The location itself makes the idea even more feasible. People who visit libraries and bookstores already fit the target market for tea. They like calm, cozy environments and sensory experiences. That natural overlap reduces the need for marketing since there's already steady foot traffic. And because we're inside an existing space, Ms.B's Teas gets built-in visibility without paying for a full retail space. Plus, the stand actually adds value to the host venue by making the space feel even more comfortable, which could help us negotiate low, even to no rent. The model is also very scalable. A grab-and-go setup or pre-brewed dispensers could keep labor costs low, and bottled tea sales create an extra revenue stream with minimal daily work. Once the system is in place, it can easily be replicated in other libraries or bookstores. Lastly, even though the stand is small, the exposure payoff is huge. Customers get to try the tea in a casual, genuine setting, which helps build positive associations and long-term loyalty. Sampling in this type of environment is super effective for a small brand trying to grow awareness. Overall, the kiosk idea is very practical. It has a low overhead, simple operations, strong customer alignment, and gives Ms.B's Teas a low-risk way to meet new customers and build a local presence.
To wrap things up, placing a small Ms.B's Tea stand inside a library or bookstore represents a strategic and consumer behavior-driven opportunity for the brand. The concept aligns tea consumption with environments that naturally evoke comfort, focus, and relaxation, allowing Ms.B's to build stronger emotional associations with its target audience. By leveraging principles such as situational influences, classical conditioning, atmospherics, and habit formation, the stand encourages both trial and repeat engagement from readers, students, and community members already primed for a cozy beverage experience. With its low-cost setup and high potential for meaningful consumer connection, this change not only enhances brand visibility, but also deepens the experiential aspect between Ms.B's Teas and consumers, ultimately supporting long-term growth and loyalty to all locations.